So we're going to get underway. So welcome to our Make Your GLEP App Shine webinar. I hope you're enjoying your holidays and have fit some time in to study. My name is Roger and I'm a current student at Macquarie studying a Bachelor of International Studies and Laws. And I've also been heavily involved in the Global Leadership Program during my time here at uni. So today I'm just going to talk about the Global Leadership Entry Program application process, and my colleague Annika will discuss the Global Leadership Program in a bit more detail. So if you have any questions, just hold them off because we'll have some time at the end for you to flag those. So we'll jump straight in. So the Global Leadership Entry Program is basically for Year 12 students who are studying the HSC, the SSC or the IB and who are interested in global issues. It's an early offer that is not based on your ATAR. So rather, we look at three things. So whether you demonstrate leadership within your school community or even the wider community, if you're actively involved in extracurricular activities, you've gone above and beyond your commitment there, and you've also achieved good academic results. So now we'll move on to the courses that are available for the Global Leadership Entry Program. So as you can see here, there are over 40 courses available, which include Business Leadership and Commerce, Engineering double degrees, Psychology honours, Law double degrees, as well as Marketing and Media. And if you'd like to see a bit more of a comprehensive list, you're more than welcome to jump onto our website. If you just Google MQGLEP and it's the What You Can Study link, you'll see a more fuller list there. So now, having covered that, some of the benefits for applying for the Global Leadership Entry Program is that it is an early offer. And what this is really good for is that you have a peace of mind before you've sat your exams. What's more, you'll get an invitation to an early orientation, which includes enrolment and peer networks to really help you with your transition to university. Those who are successful in receiving a Global Leadership Entry offer will be in the running for one of two scholarships, and there's no need to apply for these either. So that's a really good benefit. And again, those students who are part of the Global Leadership Entry Program will also have access to our HSC study labs to really help you work through those exams and alleviate some of that stress that way. And finally, if you gain entry through the Global Leadership Entry Program, you'll also have early access to the Global Leadership Program, workshops and events on campus, which Annika will kind of distinguish between and go through in more detail.
Sure. My turn?
Yes.
Great. So the Global Leadership Entry Program and the Global Leadership Program are two different things that sound very similar. So the Entry Program is what you'll be applying for to get early access to Macquarie University before your HSC, which is amazing, and I wish they had that when I was a student because I totally would have applied for this. And then the Global Leadership Program is the program we run here at Macquarie that you'll get early access to if you are successful in your application. So why is global leadership important? So for us, the crux of the Global Leadership Program is about developing global citizens, okay? So when you leave the university, you're not just leaving with a media degree or a law degree or a science degree. You are leaving, we like to think, kind of as a better person. So somebody who has knowledge of major international issues, who has a whole range of great personal and professional skills, and who is prepared for a global workforce. So the world of work is changing. You've maybe heard this term before. 60% of students are currently training for jobs that won't exist in the future. That is crazy. It means that you need more than just your degree in order to be competitive. I suspect that some of you out there are interested in working overseas at some point. I know I am. Are you going to work overseas, Roger?
I hope so.
Definitely, right? Okay, so things like the Global Leadership Program can help be that vehicle to get you to working overseas as well. Okay, so a few more things about the GLP. It's extracurricular, okay? It means it's not a degree you do here at the university, you do it in addition to your studies. It's free. You'll probably be poor when you're a student. This is the general experience of university students, okay? You're working maybe part-time, studying full-time. We don't have any fees for you to participate in the Global Leadership Program. So as I said before, you'll get those cross-cultural and professional skills. And if you complete the program, it will go on your academic transcript. This is really, really valuable You might not realise until you're in third year or fourth year or fifth year at uni, but it's so valuable to have that on your academic transcript because graduate programs, recruiters and employers look at your transcript when you leave the university. It'll give you a competitive edge, so you stand out from the crowd when you graduate from the uni. And again, knowledge, experience, and networks when you leave the university. Okay, so thank you. All right, so there are two main parts to the Global Leadership Program. The one is the Colloquium series. No one knows what Colloquium means. It means workshop, okay? It's just a fancy word. We like fancy words here. And the second is Experiential credit. You can see there are a bunch of our students there in that picture on the right-hand side. They're in Sao Paulo in Brazil. So we took students to Brazil. If anybody wants to go to Brazil, join the program. Just kidding. But it is a good motivator to go overseas. Okay, so the Colloquium series. This is where we look at major international issues that you see in the newspaper. So things like climate change, things like terrorism, things like international security, things like gender economics. Okay, so major international issues. We explore those in a multidisciplinary context. Okay, what does multidisciplinary mean? That means you'll have students from maybe law, maybe business, maybe commerce, maybe arts coming together and talking about these issues. So you'll get a really great range of different perspectives. And if you are successful in the Global Leadership Entry Program, you will be able to participate in these workshops next, well, we call them semester, but for you it's term 3 and term 4. Okay, so that's the Colloquium / workshop series. The second requirement is experiential credit. So this is where you're out in your community, locally, domestically, and internationally doing amazing things. I reckon a lot of you are already doing stuff that is counted towards experiential credit, and that's why you're applying for the GLEP program. So doing things like internships at the United Nations, internships maybe here in North Ryde, where Macquarie University is located, with groups like Procter & Gamble. If you don't know who they are, look at the back of your toothpaste or your soap or your cleaning products and you'll see that they are an enormous multinational organisation based out of the US, I think. So these are examples of some of the activities that our students have done and continue to do as part of the Global Leadership Program. Of course, we have more altruistic sides as well, where students do things like refugees, working with refugee advice and casework service in the city, or doing mentor programs right here on campus. So a whole range of different activities. We also have an opportunity in our Innovative Leaders series. So this is where we get entrepreneurs to come on campus and inspire you guys to develop your ideas and to get involved in activities beyond the classroom. So on the 27th of September, if you are free and if you are successful with the Global Leadership Entry Program, we would love to invite you along. We have somebody coming out from the UK. His name is Dominic Campbell and he runs FutureGov, which this might sound a little bit boring, is when they get technology and they combine it with government to make government better. Okay, sounds a bit boring, but in real life, I guarantee you, he is crazy interesting. And you will get access to him as well as to Global Leadership Program students in a networking event afterwards with canapes and all that kind of stuff. Everybody loves free food when they come to university, so we give them free food. Okay, so we'd love to have you along to that if you're successful in the program. I might pass over now to Roger to talk a bit more about his experience with GLP.
So what I really enjoyed about the Global Leadership Program during my time here at Macquarie is that it really made me not only a well-rounded student, but just a well-rounded individual more generally. So one of the things I really enjoyed was discussing global issues alongside students from other faculties and from various academic backgrounds. So if you imagine speaking about climate change from a legal perspective, economic perspective, and a human rights kind of angle, these are three very different ways of thinking about the same issue. And by interacting with these students, I was able to gain a well-rounded idea of the issues at hand. And in these colloquia, I also fostered my passion for environmental law, sustainability, and social entrepreneurship. And these are ideas and really key issues that I hope to sort of tackle in my career looking in the future. What's more, through the Global Leadership Program, I was able to find out about really awesome public lectures and conferences where I was able to network with young professionals as well as industry leaders and get a feel for where my interests were going in the future, as well as how to get into those fields later down the track. And finally, through the Global Leadership Program, I was really encouraged to really make the most of every opportunity that the university offered. So it wasn't just about the books and the lectures, it really was about meeting new people, hearing about new ideas and broadening my horizons. So what we have here is a picture of myself on Moso Island. This was taken during a 2-week field trip to Vanuatu, where I was looking at climate change law and policy on the ground, and where we visited a local chief and learnt about the impacts of climate change on his farm as well as his family life in general. And this experience was counted towards experiential credit. So taking those ideas in the colloquium, looking at climate change, and applying them on the ground in this experiential field. So really tying it all together, which is one thing that I really enjoyed about the Global Leadership Program. And so now we've talked about the program, we might jump back into the Global Leadership Entry Program application scheme, process. So just to note that the applications are now open and they close on the 28th of August. So it's probably a good time to start looking into your dream degree. So do some background research, ask your careers advisor, your teachers, your parents, siblings, friends, about what areas that you think might interest you, as well as what they think that you could sort of thrive in at university. And just remember, there's one course per application. So it's really, really important that you do this background information and you don't just sort of make a last-minute decision. Having done this research, then it's time to prepare your documents. So this will include your academic results as well as a supporting information form. And when compiling all of these documents, we'd recommend you name these in sort of clearly. So, R. Lee as your surname, and then what kind of report it is. So Year 12 report, for example. And then save these in a central location on your computer. And just to note, if you have done the first robotics program, we'd recommend you to submit a letter of recommendation from your coach or mentor. And further, if you are doing the business leadership or commerce course, then you can also upload a resume as well as sit an interview. And that's sort of an extra component of your application. And so finally, once you've done your research and prepared your documents, then the final thing is to jump into your application really. So there's 2 tips that I give to you. Firstly, is just take your time to really refine your answers and make sure you're putting your best foot forward. So really highlighting how your extracurricular experiences and what you've done throughout your studies has made you the person you are today, as well as how you want to take that into university studies in the future. And secondly, more on a practical level, please use your personal email when submitting your application, not your school email address, because this is where we'll be keeping in contact and we don't really want to lose track of you. So just take time to refine your answers and use your personal email address. So we might jump into a bit more detail into the supporting information form. So this is sort of the nitty-gritties of the application process. Firstly, step 1, pretty easy, submit your details. Secondly is the parent and guardian sign-off section. And just to keep in mind, you only need to complete this if you'll be under 18 years old as of the 26th of February 2018. So this is basically if you're under 18 when uni starts next year, then your parent or guardian will have to sign off on the form. Step 3 is to put in your course preference. So this is the UAC course code and the course name. Again, easiest way to do this is go into our Macquarie website, and that'll all be in that right-hand column on the handbook. And then finally is step 4, which is the principal or nominee. So this could be your head teacher, a careers advisor, or a year coordinator who'll just sign off on the form and endorse it. So you can either print it and then scan it and submit it, or they can put in a digital signature. Just keep in mind that we don't accept any hard copy or paper or mailed submissions, so this will have to be electronic. So just keep that in mind when submitting your supporting information form. And then at the bottom of the form, which is not shown here, is basically a declaration, which would just be, again, to sign off for a parent or guardian, and then basically, again, digital signature is fine. So having gone through these first initial steps, then we move on to the extracurricular side of things, which I will go through in more detail.
Sorry, I had a bit of a coughing fit before. I'm back. So I know that this is the crux of it for a lot of you guys, thinking about what information you should supply here and what we're going to be looking for in your application. So first of all, think about your top 3, okay? We're only looking at 3 activities, so make sure they are absolutely the best ones to put forward, that best represent you, all right? And we know we love seeing applications from students who have formal leadership roles in their school, so things like school captain or prefect or member of your student representative council. But what is so important if you do have a leadership role is that you say what you did in that role, okay? It's not enough just to tell us you had the role. That's great, but what we're looking for is what you achieved in that role. By the same token, if you didn't have a leadership role or you don't have a leadership role in school, that's fine, okay? There are so many different ways you can demonstrate to us your achievements without it being through a formal school role. In fact, some of our best applications come from students who don't have any formal role in their school at all. So don't think that because if you don't have that it discounts you, because absolutely it doesn't. So what we're really looking for here is commitment and initiative. Okay, these are 2 key points we're looking for in your application. So I'm going to give you some examples that demonstrate that commitment and that initiative. So the first one, we have a student who volunteered in Zambia in Africa at an orphanage. So now this is the critical part. I know you're not all going to be able to get to Africa during year 12 or year 11, okay? But what she did was she came home and she organised a garage sale and raised $2,000 for that orphanage back in Zambia. She also organised a high tea to raise awareness about social issues on the ground in Zambia, and she sponsored 5 children as an outcome of that experience. So you can see there, not only did she have this great experience overseas, but more to the point, she committed her time and her energy back in Sydney. Another example is a student who was a leader on the Positive Behaviour Learning Committee at their high school. So they collaborated with peers and teachers to develop ideas to improve that program, and then they led a group camp, and then they followed up on that experience with the participants. So again, they did it off their own bat, okay? They volunteered their time, and they saw through the whole initiative from go to woe. Another example is a student who developed a cultural radio show on local community radio, and it was to educate others about their West Indian heritage. So that's a great example of taking initiative in their community. Another example, last one, is a student who volunteered with the Smith family in a reading program. So they were volunteering with young people that had English as a second language, and there were language barriers involved, and they were able to tutor that young person. They didn't do this through their school, they did it entirely off their own bat, and they organised it themselves, and that demonstrated real initiative and commitment and leadership to us. Okay, so you'll see here an excerpt from the application form. So this is what you'll need to fill out to demonstrate to us your leadership and your community commitment. So you'll see there are 4 questions. The first is to name the activity and organisation. Okay, that's pretty straightforward. The next is, what was the activity? So to provide a brief description of the activity. Remember, you've got minimum word requirements here, so make sure that you are as succinct and snappy as possible. Sorry. And then question 3 is super important. It's, what was your leadership role in the activity? What did you do and what did you achieve? Okay, so there's 100 words here that you can use. Be sure to be as explicit and demonstrate as clearly as you can what your role was and what you achieved. This is really where the assessors are going to be looking at your application. Okay, and then of course, how much time did you commit to the activity? Was it 1 hour last Sunday, or was it 1 hour every Sunday for 8 weeks? Okay, show the longevity of your commitment. That's really important. Okay, just covered that. We'll skip over. Okay, the next part is your reflection, okay, your short response and sign off. So this is where we want you to tell us your story, right? talk about what you learned, if you had any like light bulb moments, like if you were tutoring someone with English as a second language, if you realize, God, it must be really hard for them at school to get through their subjects with not having a great level of English, and you thought that that's something that impacted you and that you had a whole new level of understanding and compassion for people that live in Australia and have English as a second language. Okay, so maybe that was a light bulb moment for you. So really make sure that you use this opportunity for us to get to know you and to focus on your story and to think about what skills and what outcomes you got from that experience and how you can use that at your time at university. So maybe at uni you want to get involved in more volunteering and more mentor programs and so on. So really think about how you'll use that learning that you had during your GLEP activities and use that into the future. Okay, so we really love reading this part, so make sure you really focus on your story there. And then lastly, to finalise your application, you will need the principal or the nominee, as Roger said, you'll need their details and their endorsement, and you'll also need your folks or your guardian to give a signature there as well. Next, we're a university, so we are going to be looking at your academics as well, obviously, okay? So this is what you'll need to provide for us. Your Year 11 reports, both your mid-year and your end-of-year report, and also your Year 12 mid-year report, if you have it available. So all those three, we want to see all of those. And this is what your report should include, and generally they do, but just make sure you cross these off your list. The name of your school, your name, so we know it's not your friends who you're submitting on their behalf, okay? Okay, we've written semester here, but what we really mean is term or trimester, depending on your school, and the year. We need an explanation of the report's components. We need your raw marks or grades, okay? So it's not enough to say you got a B+. We need to know whether you got 89 or 92 out of 100, okay? And then lastly, your teacher's comments. We want to know what they said about you.
So now that's a lot to take in, but we're just going to sum up the application process. So the first step is to create an account. So if you jump onto mq.edu.au/GLEP and then click the Apply Now button. And when creating that account, just a reminder to please use your personal email. We don't want anything to get lost in the mix. Secondly is just to activate your account. And then you can begin your online application. So that'll include all of those details that we ran through, highlighting your personal details, uploading the academic results, and then kind of selecting the course. So there might be a bit of time between those steps where you're researching your dream degree, talking to all those people around you who could give you some advice. Having done that, it's time to then collate all your supporting information and documents and submit that form. And you can save and review that after that stage. So feel free to go outside, take a walk, and then come back to it. There's no need to sort of complete it all in one sitting, but we just recommend you don't leave it to the last minute. And once you're happy with your answers and you really feel like you put your best foot forward and highlighted your experiences and your learnings through your leadership or your community service initiatives, then you can submit your application. Having done that, then it's our turn to then assess the application, and then you'll be notified of the outcome via email. This notification may be a bit longer for the business leadership and commerce students because of that interview component as well, just to keep in mind. So next steps, if you haven't already started your application, then there's no time like the present really. So again, jump onto the website and begin that application. After you have applied, check your email regularly, your personal email again. You'll be notified within 6 to 8 weeks of the outcome. And having done that, if you'd like to receive an offer for the course you are successful for under the Global Leadership Entry Program, we then encourage you to put this as your highest preference in the UAC section, which will open, applications for this will open on the 2nd of August. And in the first offer round, the offers will then be made by UAC on the 31st of August. And so if you are successful in this sort of process, Macquarie University will communicate to you what the next steps are and how to get involved with those Global Leadership Program events and workshops on campus. So now we'll have some time for questions. So feel free to post them in the chat room, which will open after the close of this webinar. So all the best with your application and your studies for the rest of the year, and I hope to see you soon. Okay.